This is the Ecwid E-commerce Show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard O'Tay.
All right, Richie, happy Friday. It's another podcast Friday.
It's that time again.
Yeah.
God, does it seem like it flies by as fast to you as it does to me?
It does. You know, we're busy. Everybody's busy, especially e-commerce people here. So like it's right before Christmas right now in real time. You're probably listening to this right after the new year. So you can imagine everyone's frazzled and trying to get packages and actually think about their family every now and then too, and buy presents and stuff. So I'm feeling all that pressure at the moment. And, let's get through the year here with our, intact here. It's
going to be interesting. It has a lot to do with our guest that's coming up. Is you never know what's going to happen with your business. And sometimes like 2020, there's a lot of things going on that were painful for people. And, maybe we'll do some of the story. He had an e-commerce business that felt some of that pain, one of the few. So they're not all happy stories just because it's e-commerce, but in what we're going to cover today is actually how to build your team and scale your team if you're doing well and you're like, wait, I started with one person, or it's just me and my husband, or me and my wife, or whoever started the company, and now we got to add some people. So we have a really cool guest coming on today, Kevin Urrutia. Did I say that correctly, Kevin?
It's perfectly fine. Kevin Urrutia.
Urrutia.
Perfectly fine.
I know. It's like no. As I said it, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But more importantly than how I pronounce your name is who you are and what you've done. So, you started out as a developer at Mint, and then you went on and started your own house cleaning business, I know, and then went into e-commerce, and you've done just so many different things, but you've built teams on these different levels. And just thought you'd be a great person to come on and help people that are maybe thinking right now, okay, I just went through 2020. I'm looking to grow a little, looking to farm out a little of this stuff. What is the process even? Well, first and foremost, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks guys. Thanks guys for having me. Super excited to be here.
And then what does someone start thinking about? Like what is the first part of the process when they're thinking of growing a team?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, because growing a team and really building a team is probably, I think for me, it's one of the most important things that you can do for freedom, as in like sheer time. You don't want to be thinking about all your work 24/7, but also gives you the ability to grow your business and think about how you're growing your business. So for me, I started the maid company. It was called Maid Sailors, and we do home cleanings. And when I was working that business, I was constantly in this, people probably listen to the show, in this state of like, I need to be doing everything, like from hiring to calling customers, to answering my phone calls, to dealing with complaints. And in the beginning, you sort of like doing it because it's your business and you're like, oh my God, this is exciting. I'm actually a real business owner, right? And you're like, that's how you like sort of identify yourself. And then after like a few years or so, you're in this mode of like, oh my God, like you just can't do anything because you're just working your business 24/7. Like a holiday comes up, you're like on your phone, you're checking your emails. And what usually happens is, from what I've seen before, it's either you completely burn out and then you like stop trying to do your business, and then your business kind of like flounders and fails. Or for me, I was like trying to figure out what can I do to just not have that happen to me. And I read this book called The E-Myth. I'm not sure if you guys heard it, by Marco Garber. It's a great book because even though it's called The E-Myth, it's not an internet book, which is like the craziest thing. It's like a book about just building a business essentially. And he kind of talks about how you should build a team, or you should really figure out in your company, what are your strengths and weaknesses essentially, and what do you like doing, and where can you come in and hire somebody else to help you run your business. And for me, when I was running the maid company, I thought what I enjoyed doing was growth, like bringing new customers. I wasn't really keen into dealing with customer complaints. Most people aren't, right? Cleaning company, a lot of complaints, a lot of online chats, a lot of like booking people over the phone, right? So But really, this book helped me think about it. And once I read this book, it really just talks about building a process or a system that someone else can do that's not you. Um, for I think where most people listening to on the podcast right now, it's think about all the stuff that you do every day and write it down in detail. Like, hey, every morning I wake up and I check my emails, and if there's a customer complaint, this is what I do and this is how I deal with it. Once you sort of write down all this stuff, you can see there's a lot of repeating tasks that happen every day, and then you can come in and bring someone to sort of help you do those tasks. It sounds easy, but I think from what I've seen before, the mindset that someone probably has is, if I hire somebody, they're not going to do as good a job as me, so I can't hire them because I'm the best one at this job or role. But like, I think a lot of people fall into this trap of, I'm the best one and no one else can do it. I tell people, like, if you can hire someone to do 90% as good of a job as you did, then you basically think about it as like, hey, you just freed up 90% of your time to now do whatever you want. But at the same time, I always tell people, the person that you hired isn't you. So you need to train them, because if they do a bad job, it's not their fault, it's your fault. And a lot of people don't want to accept that responsibility, where they think it's the person should just know it. And for me, that's probably, and the reason why I say that is because I thought that way. I thought if I hired somebody, they should just know it. If not, they're just a bad employee. But it was really me as the owner. I didn't train them. I didn't show them the right way, because if they don't know how to do something, remember, in the end, it's your company and no one will care about it as much as you do. So you got to just train people and hire them. So that's kind of like some mindset of like thinking. And I think, like I said, people fall into this. The reason for me, it's like, I always tell people, like, let's say you go down the street, you go to like a bodega here in New York City, you see the business owner running the shop 24/7. Like, I was like, I do not want to be that person that's in the shop 24/7, that you literally never see your family, because you just don't trust someone to hire you to run your store. I'm like, you just need to pay someone hourly and they can run your store. Like, yes, they might steal. Like, I talk to people, they're like, oh, what if they steal stuff? I'm like, well, like, if they're stealing stuff, maybe you're not paying them enough, or maybe you just don't have a great work environment. Like, figure out like, what is the core issue of why they're doing this thing, right? It's so, and also a big thing for me, these are all like the psychological barriers I had, right? So like, uh, was, you're earning all this money, right? And then you're like, well, if I hire this person, my income's going to go down. But really, the way that took me a long time to get over. But really, what I saw was, when I hired this person, like, my income went up because now I had all this free time to sort of help the business grow and scale even more. And I was like, whoa. And then once I saw that, I was like, okay, I need to hire more people, because they're going to release a lot of the stress I have, and then it's going to help the company grow.
So since we're mostly dealing with e-commerce, we'll put the focus towards e-commerce, but I want to keep in mind like your home cleaning business, because a lot of these e-commerce stores could be local business owners that are just now taking their businesses online. So let's maybe look at it from both of those perspectives. But where I'm going with this is, what would you see as a universal key hire that would be the first person usually across the board? I know there's always exceptions
Yeah.
to the rule. Every business is a little bit different, but did you notice as you've been helping other businesses too, like, is there a certain place people
Yep.
should be focused first?
At least for me. So yeah, good thing on focus on e-commerce for my outdoor gear company. The first person that we hired was someone to help us do the customer service. That was so key for us, because when you're selling products, or for example, you're getting a lot of emails about, hey, where's my item, right? That's a common question no matter what you're using, right? Where's my tracking, right? Remember, all these questions are stuff that you, as a business owner, you can answer yourself. But if you hire an assistant or a virtual assistant, it's a very easy trainable thing. Say, hey, go to here in the platform where they ordered, go to UPS and send them this link. And then now this job you never have to do again. So I think customer service rep are so important, because they can help you with a few things. Email, number one. Number two, if you have a phone number, I think as an e-commerce store, you should have a phone number on your website. It instills trust, but also, depending on your target demographic, a lot of people love calling to place an order. So this person can help them place the order, or if they have any questions. And another thing I like doing for at least my e-commerce stores is having an online chat. So the person can also do the online chat, such as like handling any incoming widgets or messages from people that have questions. So this person can do email, online chats, and customer service and calls. And again, too, that can also help you potentially with following up on customers that have purchased a month ago. Say, hey, let's say you have a skincare company. Hey, we know that you purchased a bundle a month ago. Would you like to purchase another one? So they can help you essentially get more sales as well. So I think the most important person is this customer service rep. And reason number one is because sometimes you get too many, not complaints, but you get too many inquiries that just take up mental space.
Yeah, Kevin, I'm with you 100% here. I have hired a virtual assistant before, and it was a lifesaver because yes, you can answer these emails and like you can do it pretty quick, but then that's all you do is you're always stressed and like, and you don't need to do that right away. Maybe if you can have 5 orders a day and you can probably handle that. Maybe you can handle 10, at some point it becomes the volume of questions that you get it becomes overwhelming. And then to your point, that is just mental pressure. Like you don't have time to do the marketing, right? Like that's how you grow is I'm a marketer. So I think you should spend more time marketing, developing products, things like that, and let somebody else answer these emails about where's my stuff, because there is a tracking number and usually there's no other secret. Like here is the tracking number. Yes, UPS has it. Yes, FedEx has it. It's late. There's nothing you can do about this at this point except, assure the person that you're real and such. So anyway, love that as a first hire specifically for e-commerce. So Kevin, did you hire local virtual assistants? Did you go overseas? Like how did you get that first person?
For me, I think I love using virtual assistants from Philippines. I have a lot of Philippine virtual assistants. I think for people sometimes think it's, hey, someone overseas, they won't speak English, they won't speak. I think that's very silly to think, honestly, because these people from these countries are very well-mannered. They want to do the job you're hiring them for well. And for me personally, it's sometimes better than people here I've hired in the US. So I think hiring virtual assistants is probably the best way to think about it. Remember, it goes to what I said before, you need to train them. So I like using people from Philippines that potentially live in Manila. Manila is the capital of Philippines. So there a few reasons why for me is it's the capital of the city. So they have great internet and they also have great school. So they have great English. So I always look for these things when I'm hiring from the website I use is called onlinejobs.ph. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that. So it's a great place. And again, going back what you said before, 1 month of hiring someone from the Philippines is what, $500, $600 a month? And now you don't have to think about anything customer service if you hire a great one. I have one girl that I work with, Stephanie. She's been with me for the past 3 years. I tell people, you have to pry her out of my hands because she's that good and I'm never letting her go. I'm never letting her go. So once but again, just so people know, hiring good people, just like anything, it's a process, an interview to find that great VA. I think I've gone to at least 50 bad ones. So it's not like they just happen. That's why for me, I'm just like, okay, you're unique. I need you. I need you. Yeah. So
I like the real check there too. Is like, you have a great one, but you also mentioned you went through 50 bad ones. So just kind of a reality check for people, but
exactly. It's tough. And it's like anything, you have to have a great hiring process. I tell people there's so many other things that I do now. If I hire, for example, let's say you want to hire someone from the Philippines, I do an internet speed check. I'm going to make sure that internet works. I do a writing test. Any sort of sense of a wrong grammar, wrong text, I know they're not going to write well. So let me not even waste my time. All these little stuff that you can do to really help you filter. Essentially, you're filtering candidates. So that's the way I think about it.
Mm-hmm. So how do you go about when you train them? Is it a certain way you put down your SOPs? By the way, we had Michael Gerber on the
you did?
show too. Yeah, that was funny when you were talking about that.
Oh yeah, he's so good. It's my favorite. One of my, I tell people that's my favorite book. He's so
yeah.
good.
There's on the bookshelf there. Yep, it is actually on the left side there. The blue book with the red. So I have an autographed copy.
Oh, you do? Lucky. Oh, he's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. He lives in San Diego, so we had him in the studio. But
he's so good. But for training and SOPs, what I do is I just so basically, kind of going back to what I said before, I just record what I'm doing and I narrate over it, and then that way they can rewatch it over and over again. What I used to do, I tell people what I used to do. I used to just train one person, and then, like I said before, then they would be bad, and I would just fire them. And I'm like, oh my god, I got to do this training over again. So I was like, okay, let me just do the perfect training, record it in like a Loom or like any sort of like screen sharing app, and then you have it like in a Notion, for example, or a Google Doc, and say, this is how you set up an account, this is how you answer these emails, and this is your templates, this is how you log into Zendesk, for example, right? And then all this like stuff that you make it easy. I'm like, okay, this is how you use LastPass to log into all the software we use. So I love making videos because then they can rewatch it over and over again and at least see you doing the thing. And then that's super helpful. It's like, okay, what button did you click? It's like, no, it's like, just watch my video again. Like the button click is there, right? Just watch my video.
The answer to the first 6 videos is watch the video one more time.
Yeah. Watch the video.
First 6 questions.
Yeah. And for the people listening, that was Loom, by the way. I use it all the time. I think it's super helpful. We have remote employees. Anyway, so it's Loom, guys. Remember, it's very easy, very. I
tell people just record what you're doing because you're doing it anyways. So just put it on. And then maybe narrate over it like now or later. And then again, for just communication and talking to, let's say, some virtual assistants, it's I think the key thing, though, at least for me, with when I hire virtual assistants, is like you need to treat them like they're part of your company, not this like external person that just like lives overseas. Think about it as a remote employee that works with you. You need to talk to them every day. You need to actually give them advice on how to get better. You need to actually have some sort of system where saying, hey, you're doing a poor job. Because remember, like these, like I hate saying these people, but like these employees you hired want to get better at their job too. Like anybody you work with, like you want your boss to tell you, hey, you did a good job today. Compliment them. Hey, you did a really bad job today. What happened, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody in the world has issues, especially now, like people are going through issues with anything family and anything related. So people do have bad days. So you as a business owner, I think you need to be thinking about that stuff too. It's not just a random person that just randomly does stuff. Like, at least for me, like I like talking to them all the time saying, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? Like, how's like life out there? Right. So just sort of figure out, like, you're human, right? So I always tell people, like, mistakes I've seen people make before. So for communication wise, at least for us, we use Slack a lot. So Slack is an internal business tool. That's kind of how we talk almost every day, unless we have like the weekly meetings through Zoom. So that's how we do like the remote managing of anything. And again, too, let's say we're doing customer service, for example, we have Zendesk, which is a tool we use that goes into our Slack. And then the virtual assistant sees that Slack come in. And then when they're done, they'll just put like a green check mark. And then we know, okay, they answered the message. So then it's kind of like you build like a system in place saying, hey, if no one has a check mark, that means you probably didn't see it yet. And then going back to what I said before, but if you know they're working, let's say it's a 9-to-5 job and the ticket came in at 1 and it's 4 o'clock. Hey, what's going on? Like, what are you working on? Right. So it's like, you need to have some sort of system in place so they know that you're watching them too. So stuff like that.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I mean, especially 2020, people are kind of used to remote work now, and Slack has become a very, a pretty normal business tool. It's a little, in some ways, better than, I don't know, combination of chat and email in some
chat
sense.
And email, and also like you're constantly always on now. Like it's it's like constantly always on. Yeah. I don't know. I always tell people, I don't know if it's better or worse, because now like I remember like a few weeks ago, one of my employees was like, Kevin, I saw your Slack was off. He's like, that's so weird. I was like, yeah, because I turned off it. Like I literally put off away because like I didn't want to like get the notifications.
Yeah. I turned it off right now, by the way. I turned it off before podcasts because otherwise it takes up my attention. So yes, it is. It's slightly evil, but yes, Slack is useful. I've never set up Zendesk through email before, but I feel like that makes sense so that, when you get an email, you're not worried about it. You know that either somebody's got it. It's a quick system for you to keep an eye on it, so you're not stressed about see this and yes, they saw it, they haven't answered it yet. I'll lay off for a couple hours.
I think it's like once you like going back, it's like Zendesk makes it easy, and obviously Zendesk is one. I'm not sure if you guys heard another one called like Front App, which is another similar customer service tool where they have all these like little, and the reason why we like Zendesk is pretty expensive, just in case we were listening to it. That's not like that's the tool that we've been using the past 3 years. So it's kind of like any tool, when you're in it, it's like so hard to get out of it. And we're just like, oh God, like it's so expensive, but like, we don't want to switch. So that's just software, right? So, but Zendesk is really nice because it has like templates. So then you can just say like, hey, let's talk about like, hey, where's my order? It's like, you can template, hey, so-and-so, here's your order. And then like in there, you say like, insert tracking code. It's like, you can't mess that up, right? So it's like, yeah, super simple. Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah. I mean, so CSRs make a perfect first hire. I think you're spot on with that. Have you ever had any remote workers that do marketing for you, or any other fulfillment, anything else?
Yeah. So at least for Voy Media, our company is 30 people. Half our team is remote. And when I say remote, I mean, we have employees in Paris, we have employees in Slovenia, we have employees obviously in India, we have employees in England. Really, half the team is almost not in the US. And for that, the employees do sort of like our photo shoots, our video shoots, our content shoots, and then they also do the online marketing as well in overseas. So yeah, our team is really remote in that sense. And for me, I like it just because we find great people overseas. So I always tell people like, I'm perfectly fine working overseas, and I like it. It's yeah, people do great work overseas.
Do you have a process that you follow for the hiring? Because that didn't sound just like the Philippines there, right?
Oh yeah,
That was
yeah.
all over. So was there something you have in common in that process of
Yeah.
hiring someone? I
So
know you
for
said the
us,
writing test and a couple other things. So
okay, yeah. So for us, when we hire somebody, we have a whole like hiring process. If someone wants to work for us, they go through 4 interviews. So basically, the first one is a 30-minute interview where we kind of just get them to talk to them for 30 minutes. It's either the project manager team or the strategy manager to sort of go over like the role. Say, hey, like, what are you interested in doing? They can ask us questions about the business, what we want, and if we get a good vibe, we'll sort of pass it on to the second round. The second round is where now we'll deep dive into their resume. And here is, well, we'll go through their resume, and on every single job that they worked, we'll ask them, what were you hired to do? What were your outcomes? What were the results? What did you like about it? What did you not like about your team? What did you like about your boss? What didn't you like about your boss? What did you like about the company? And why were you fired or let go? So, and then we do that for every single job. So that one takes about, depending on the person's experience, anywhere between 1 hour to 2 hours. So we go in detail. And then based on that, we can get a good sense of, based on what they're saying, it's like any interviewing, based on what they're saying, we can sort of see if it's always not their fault. Okay, maybe it is your fault, because if you're never saying it's your fault, right? So maybe it's like they're always out to get me. Okay, why they're always out? Why is every job out to get you, right? So it's like you listen. And then the third one is an interview with the founder, which is myself and Wilson, and then we'll talk to them about more productivity, how they think about the world, how they think about things in like this marketing space, at least for us. Once they do that, we'll have a fourth one. The fourth one is now the reference checks. So we're going to get 5 references and call them up and ask them, hey, we're interested in hiring this person. Have you worked with them? And it's a quick 10-minute call, and we'll do that. So that's the process.
It's pretty in depth now, especially for when you're overseas. You know, like, yeah. I realize you got to do a little more checking, because you're not going to meet them in person. So sometimes you get a vibe in person, right, that you may or may not get over a phone call. So yeah.
It's I think for hiring, I think it's probably one of the, let's say any new business owner, it's so important. I think your first few hires are people you want to work with, because they're going to be a really big part of your company, and they're going to really set, people talk about this a lot, the culture of the company, how things work, what is excellence internally in your company, right? The worst thing you can do is hire somebody that doesn't work that well, because then you have 2 people, not yourself included. One works, one doesn't work. The other, what's going to happen is that feeling's going to permutate to the business. And then that person was a hard worker could be like, oh, like they're lazy. Like, oh, maybe I can be lazy too. Right. So then that's sort of like very dangerous, I think.
Yeah. It makes sense. Like, yeah, that it's going to spread this bad vibe or bad work ethic. So yeah. Cool. Well, okay. So now marketing's a little closer, right? Like, customer service, yes, sometimes you can always jump in and be like, oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
But marketing, if they're not doing a good job, like that's your social media statements out there. That's your emails. Like, how do you keep an eye on remote marketers?
Yeah. So how we keep an eye out, at least for us, let's say we're doing paid traffic stuff, at least for us, like, so anybody that we hire, for at least for my company, we have every Monday, we have a weekly meeting with everybody. And then every person that works for us, we have a weekly one-on-one where we're going through everything that they've done for the week. And we just talk about their goals. But for us, with paid traffic is a lot of what we do. We also measure how much they're spending on partner accounts, for example, or your own account, and saying, hey, what's going on? Why are the results going up or down? We're very report driven and have spreadsheets for almost everything of saying like week over week spend, what's going on with this account. And then we can sort of see, okay, why is this account red versus green for like last week? And let's talk to us about that. For the creative team, for example, we do track, we have an Asana board. Asana is like a software project management tool. And like anything, it's like, this is an interesting question because we don't really like track as in like, hey, the sheer like, hey, like, did you do 10 creatives? For us, it's very performance driven because we're a marketing company. People, if results are bad, we're going to know it. Like, hey, we're just like, clients are going to email us like, hey, why am I not getting sales today? So it's very easy for, I guess, a marketing, when you're doing marketing person, if they're doing work or not, especially if it's like paid or where you're spending money. I think it's a little trickier when it's like something like SEO, I think, because SEO, it's like, it takes time. It's like, okay, we've been waiting for 6 months. Like, how come stuff isn't happening, right? But that's where I think about it. So paid, I think you can easily kind of see what's working or not working. But again, it needs to be a process that you're hiring people that want to work and do well. And that's why the interview process is so important. And again, really with anybody that you hire, I think it's, at least for us, it's having clear OKRs, objective and key results. Okay, what's your objective for the next 3 months? And what are the results you want to achieve? And then during your one-on-one meetings, it shouldn't be this like, okay, what do we talk about today? It's like, okay, if you're doing that, then that's probably not good. It's to be like, okay, let's go through your objectives and key results. I know you want to spend 100K this month. You're at 60. How can we get to 40K in the next 2 weeks? And what are you going to do to achieve that goal? Because that's in your OKR, and you want to hold yourself responsible for your own results, not me. I'm here to like guide you, but ultimately it's your results.
Okay. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. You're not just, rolling dice here and hope, you're objective in like taking a look at what they're doing. So
I tell people, it's like, I tell people like, hey, we're here to have fun too, but we're also here to produce results. So let's try to do both, right?
Yeah. Real good. So we're at the end of 2020, 2021's coming up, for people listening. All right. We talked about remote work a little bit. And so hopefully people get their minds spinning about that. Just kind of in the last, few minutes we have left, what is, as far as like a digital marketing strategy that you've seen work for, across a bunch of other clients, do you have any like tips that people could apply, kind of thinking about the new year here?
Yeah, I think so. Let's say for like a brand new business owner that you're sort of starting to sell online, I think something that we've seen work really well for at least smaller businesses that kind of just sort of getting out there. I think if going out there and telling people your personal story about why you started your company, why you're doing what you're doing, that still sells. And I think we're going to see that more and more as years go on. I think at least people buy from people, right? People don't really resonate with brands anymore. Yes, you're building a brand, but there's a human or a person behind that company. And I tell people like sometimes people are afraid to put their face out. I'm like, you need to put your face out, talk to people. It's your company, so you should want to be proud of what you're building. So that's a big trend that I'm seeing now, and also where I think it's going to be more in 2021, especially with like everybody attacking these big corps these days, and almost everybody in the country. So it's interesting to see that now.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And, most people are stuck at home. So you have a camera, you have the abilities here, like you should be able to tell your personal story and the why you started this company. So
I think it's hard for people because sometimes it's like people are like, oh, I don't want to brag, but I'm like, you got to tell your people like, why you're starting this. There's something unique about you that's making you do this. So, and again, too, like if anything, maybe you can inspire somebody to be like, start their thing, because sometimes people are just afraid because it's like, oh, why would it be me? You know, that's kind of like imposter syndrome. So I always tell people, just go out there. Like, you'll resonate with somebody. Maybe not everybody. That's okay, right? You can't please everybody. It's just life.
Yeah. Richie, what are you thinking here? What kind of
I was
questions
just going to say, well, there was a few things, and again, I could talk to you forever, Kevin. So, but I know you got a call coming up here. Just want to say thank you for putting yourself out there, as you say other people should, and coming on the show. We super appreciate your time and insights on that. That's awesome. You were also saying earlier you had something where we could send listeners to.
Oh, yep. To my book. So I have a book called Digital Marketing Made Easy. It's for brand new, like, marketers, entrepreneurs. They're just looking to sort of dive into at least the way I think about marketing and the way I think, like, I wish I knew about it. So yeah, it's called just Digital Marketing Made Easy. And if you want the book, it's on Amazon, but you could also just email me, Kevin at Voy Media, and I can send you the book for free. So it's not a problem.
Awesome. And then, other than that, Jess, I'd say let's get this new year started right. I mean, we're recording it a little before the new year. You're hearing this around the new year. I hear it again when it comes out, and say, let's get this started.
Yeah, everybody. Hopefully you're able to pull something out of this here, get some remote teams going, some marketing. Kevin, any last thoughts here or
No, I think thanks for having me, guys. Super appreciate it. And yeah, hope everybody has a good new year.
All right, Kevin, thanks for being on the show. Richie, have another good Friday. Everybody listening, get out there and make it happen. Bye.
Hey, this is Jesse and Rich. We want to let you know we really appreciate you listening.
We hope you find the tips we give you helpful for growing your business.
You can find all of our past episodes and a lot more useful stuff at ecwid.com/podcast.
And also, check us out on your favorite podcasting platform like Apple Podcast or Stitcher, and make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing.
Be sure to let us know what you think by rating and reviewing so we can serve you better.
So subscribe on your favorite platform.
And come join our community, check out the transcripts, or tell us why you would be a great guest at ecwid.com/podcast.